face it, people have serious hang-ups about healthy respect for themselves. I'm not talking about arrogance, just an appreciation for the features, characteristics, talents, and personality you have. Hello, my loyal listeners. I want to show you how to live the way of the phoenix. It's a statement and a lifestyle that says, I am indomitable. I am resilient and I am capable. And if I crash and burn, I will rise again from the flames. Count on it. Welcome to the Way of the Phoenix. I'm so excited to get this podcast into your ears and your life. This episode is See the Majesty of Yourself. I'm going to pull some ideas taken from my book, Turning Trials into Triumphs, The Way of the Phoenix, a guide to personal empowerment through coping strategies and life skills. No real progress can be made until you start treating yourself like the amazing person you are and acknowledge the majesty of who you're becoming, along with assessing the areas you can revise to get what you most want from yourself and life. In my personal empowerment guidance sessions, life coaching, one of the most core needs is to respect and feel good about yourself. The whole objective of my podcast is to show you how to implement the best practices and perspectives to thrive no matter what. You see, you have to maintain healthy practices daily and make adjustments as you go, whether you struggle with mental or physical health or other areas of difficulty. Let's talk about outer image. I strongly feel society places far too much emphasis on the outer packaging. One of the most important things we can learn in life is to accept our bodies and love them for the work of art they really are. No matter what your body looks like, it has kept you alive, and for that, it deserves to be honored and cared for. I know that a distorted body image causes some people to do such self-destructive things that they die trying to look like the picture-perfect models we see in the media. And here's a good time to mention, with AI and photo editing, it might not even be what they actually look like. I think this is a tragedy. I've struggled with outer image myself. When I was younger, I had a body that was frequently complimented and attracted a lot of attention. So I believed I was beautiful. It was a huge component of my self-esteem and what I thought about myself. I didn't really have the need to reach far beyond the packaging. I developed my intellect and personality also, but I loved feeling beautiful. But after I had several experiences where I was threatened with assault, I began to form a protective layer called fat around me to ward off some of the terrifying attention. It created a false sense of security, but the aggressive threats stopped. Yet each time I looked in the mirror, I hated the image of my body. I didn't even recognize myself. As I continued in my life and was challenged with terrible health problems and had to take steroid medication to treat them, the option of becoming svelte again was very limited. Now my self-image was really threatened. Who was I if I wasn't trim and desirable? I really didn't know for a while. It was quite unsettling. I had to go really deep within myself and challenge my acceptance of our societal values for thin bodies. And during this tremendous struggle with my self-image, I tried an interesting energy vibration experiment. I went to the grocery store and I decided to see if it was the feelings I was projecting about myself that was determining how people reacted to me, or the actual image of my overweight body that they saw. I tried projecting the confidence and vibrational energy I used to have about having a beautiful face and body. I began to walk the way I used to walk when I was competing in beauty pageants, and I held my head up and projected mentally, I'm beautiful. And the most amazing thing happened. I literally had 6 men stop to talk to me and comment on what I was wearing or just trying to strike up a conversation. 3 of them were pretty cute and younger than I was. It didn't matter that I was 60 pounds overweight. It was all about what I was projecting. I was stunned. I really learned something by that. The thoughts we think and what we embody are broadcast very clearly to people who choose to tune into them. Whether you're afraid or confident, they're going to pick it up. When I became clear about all of the other valuable qualities and characteristics I have, I emerged with an understanding of my inner beauty that far surpassed the outer beauty I once enjoyed. As I fully accepted myself for who I really am, I grew to honor and respect my body for the miracle of still being alive, despite all the times I've been extremely ill. I'm alive. It's truly a miracle. And whenever I started to lament about the loss of my youthful body, I stopped and affirmed the glory of the strong, resilient, persevering body that I'm blessed with. I have less concern over the packaging, and I feel like I'm a much more balanced person. And isn't it interesting that our own bodies respond to how we talk to and treat them? If you want someone to do something for you, if you're snarky, mean, and critical, they are far less likely to do anything you want. By contrast, as you become kinder and encouraging to your body and visualize what you want in your life, you are so much more likely to achieve it. In the past few years, I had a target weight in mind, and I'd been working on it for a time with everything I could learn about how to achieve ideal weight. I implemented everything from using food as medicine to visualizing my ideal weight and so much more. Recently, I was within 7 pounds of my healthy high school weight. And then my body forcefully got my attention about some changes I needed to make in my perspectives and relationships that landed me in a very serious health crisis. Yeah, you see, when I don't listen to my body about making needed changes, it serves me symptoms that make it impossible for me to ignore. But there's always a benefit if I look hard enough. In the process of needing to end a relationship and change the value and meaning I placed on some really important circumstances in my life, I released the remaining 7 pounds. I'm now at my high school weight and have maintained it for a year and counting. However, I don't look like I did when I was 16. As a mother, a few changes took place. I made some drastic changes in my perspectives and actions, and set some forceful boundaries in my key relationships, and I healed from the health crisis. I have to work daily at exercising my intestinal fortitude, both mentally, with my fighting spirit, and reminders that I'm now safe at all times and in all places, and with the healthy foods I eat. I'm committed to doing whatever it takes to be healthy. This was crucial in helping me release the need for fat as a protection. My whole life has been spent acquiring the skills and perspectives to overcome my health challenges that have been life-threatening. They are a mirror to the life-threatening circumstances I have lived through, and all have a basis in the extraordinary trauma I've overcome. So now back to the body image. Love the body you've been given. It's exactly the way it needs to be for you to get what you need out of life. I also believe that we should care for our bodies the best we can so they can care for us a long time. If you believe you're beautiful, despite your imperfections, people will respond to you as though you are beautiful. The reciprocal is also true and applies to all areas of your life. If you think you're ugly, stupid, unworthy of wealth or attention, that is what you'll broadcast and likely what you'll receive. Just remember, whatever you think about yourself will be projected loud and clear. So be clear about what you're projecting. Acknowledge and affirm the inner beauty of other individuals. Challenge your acceptance of the ideal body that's pushed on us by media and society, at least in the United States. Take good care of the body you've been given. It has kept you alive. And for that, it deserves to be honored and cared for. You're going to want to listen to my Fire Your Inner Critic meditation. You'll find the link in the show notes. Let's move on to self-esteem. You know, a lot of people have ideas about self-esteem. It's the core of a healthy person. But do you know how to get self-esteem if you don't have it already? It starts with a basic understanding of who we are. I believe that each of us has inherent worth because we are living human beings. Our ability to think, reason, and adapt to various situations sets us apart from the animal kingdom. Although animals share some of these characteristics, our skills and talents are far superior in many ways. We have a stewardship to care for the planet and the animals, but I don't think they're our peers or our ancestors, or that their rights and abilities exceed ours as humans. We have basic nobility because we are human. Another core transformational premise is the circumstances of where and when you were born and the place where you are now in your relationships, work environment, and educational background are all tools you're given to build your life into what you will make of yourself. We each have specific gifts and talents unique to each individual. No one else can do exactly what you can do or be exactly who you can be if you'll develop your talents, skills, and leadership. I know this may all sound a bit cliche, but if we really examine it in depth, it should elevate our basic concept of ourselves as being incredibly valuable. I feel we were meant to be here at this time in history and in the specific circumstances where we find ourselves. It's the perfect launching pad for your highest potential right now. It doesn't matter where you've been as much as it matters where you're going. When you take the initiative to begin searching for your talents, skills, and attributes that are positive and helpful, you can begin to appreciate yourself more fully. Quit dwelling on all the negative qualities you have. You probably think about them constantly and rehearse them in your mind, telling yourself what a rotten person you are. How helpful can that be? Seriously. This is one of the factors that keeps us from feeling esteem for ourselves. We talk to ourselves in our minds, and possibly out loud, about all the mistakes we make, what poor judgment we have, and all the rotten things that happen to us. Here are some of the ways that you can catch yourself dismissing your worth. We often internalize as true most of the negative labels that people place on us. This is a recipe for disaster. You will continually have negative feelings about yourself as long as you accept negative labels about yourself as true. So when someone criticizes you, before you take it in and feel bad about yourself, think, what might his or her motivation be in saying this? This is a really appropriate time to question their motivation. Most importantly, ask yourself, is this true about me? If there's some truth in it, then say to yourself, I recognize this as an area I'd like to improve in. And write down an action plan to change that characteristic or behavior about yourself. One way to do this is to make an affirmation statement to back it up and program it in your subconscious mind. For instance, if you are habitually late for work and your boss says, you're never on time, shape up or you'll lose your job. If it's true, then change it. If the reason for your lateness is because you never know where you put your keys, then say to yourself, I always know where I put my keys. I enjoy the benefits of always arriving a few minutes early to work. What you continually say to yourself or allow others to say to you will become true for you. We will always have detractors in our lives. I know, I have plenty. We must learn to get over their negativity. If it's simply not true about you, forget about it or challenge them on it. Ask them, why would you say such a thing about me? Or make the statement, you must feel pretty lousy about yourself to have to say such negative things about someone else. Have you ever noticed how we even dismiss compliments when we receive them? We frequently question the motivation of the person giving the compliment, or we argue with them about it like, oh, you like this outfit? I found it at the back of the closet. I don't really like it, but I haven't done the laundry this week, so I just wore it. It leaves the other person wondering if you question their taste in complimenting you, and it makes it unlikely they'll want to do it again. So I've got a little action exercise designed to get your mind thinking of all the great things about you. Because let's face it, if you can't figure it out, it will be a lot harder for others to recognize your worth and reflect it back to you. So get your transformation journal or a piece of paper and divide it in half. And on one side, you're going to write my qualities, talents, and blessings. And now, take the time to write down all the things you view as your strengths and qualities, and the talents and blessings you have in your life. Take as many sheets as you need to do this. It's very important because you'll be referring to it later when you feel discouraged. Your list may include things like, I have a great smile, a playful laugh, a good sense of humor. I understand other people's feelings. I have a great desire to learn and change. I am a contribution to the company I work for or the people in my life. I develop new skills on a regular basis. I have many friends. And now, on the other side of the paper, label it what I'm working to develop and receive. Then list the qualities, blessings, and talents you want to have or you want to develop. If you have a supportive person in your life, this exercise could be done together, with each of you contributing to the other's list of my qualities, talents, and blessings. It can be a richly rewarding experience for both of you and something you'll treasure forever. Think about it. This could be a little date night. Keep the list. One thing I found helpful in my transformation journey was trying to imagine my ideal self or my highest enlightened self. I wondered about how I looked beyond the packaging of the body I was walking around in. Who am I really inside? As I searched myself for the answers, I tapped into the majesty of my soul and became intimately acquainted with my highest self. Here's how I pictured my inner self. I am fearless and wear a sword at my side. It symbolizes my fight against injustice, tyranny, and abuse. I never shy away from battle or confrontation because I'm fighting for the noblest cause, personal freedom. The sword reminds me to keep up the good fight and serves as a visible warning to others that I can protect myself. I'm never the aggressor, but I am incredibly strong and able to defend myself when needed. I am standing on a mountain, and from this vantage point, I can see out over large expanses, giving me perspective and wisdom. I can see things coming at me before they can get to me, so I am prepared and ready. The wind whips through my long, full hair, and a storm is rolling in with dark clouds, but I am not afraid. I am shielded by my protective armor that is symbolic to me and protects me from difficulties of any kind. I feel incredibly majestic, regal, peaceful, and gracious. I am healthy and trim. I cannot be conquered. I am indomitable. Gradually, I began to see my outer self as I imagined my inner self. The change in my feelings about myself was so profound that several people who had known me for years told me that my countenance had changed and I looked more peaceful and happier. A few times in my life when I felt completely overwhelmed, I watched the movie Braveheart. It moved me on a cellular level, both because I have Scottish ancestry and because I could relate to the character of William Wallace and his struggle, betrayal, and fight to the end for a greater cause. I also despise tyranny and abuse of power in any form. The cry on my lips and in my heart is also freedom. Let's talk a little more about symbolism. In contemplating my life and its challenges, I realized that symbolism is very significant and healing for me. I have learned that our subconscious mind works predominantly with pictures, metaphors, and symbols. So I have objects that trigger me to remember my highest cause. I bought a Celtic sword pin that I wear on my coat and at times on other clothing. People are intrigued by it and ask me about it. So I tell them it reminds me to keep up the good fight. Beyond that, it reminds me of the price I have paid for freedom and the price others have paid to give me many of the freedoms I enjoy, such as freedom of thought, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and many more. It also reminds me to be a key player in the fight of good against evil. I bought an ink stamp with a rampant lion. That's a side-facing standing lion with the word freedom on it. It inspires me. I keep it where I can see it frequently. To me, freedom encompasses being able to control your own thoughts and attitudes, and to look outside the parameters and double binds we can be faced with. This is the deepest level of freedom to me. Even though others could take control over our outer environment, and we might possibly be coerced into doing things we don't want to do or don't agree with by individuals, groups, governments, or employers, we always have the freedom to choose how we will think and react in a given situation. Let me repeat that. We always have the freedom to choose how we will think and react in a given situation. It's all about taking responsibility for our thoughts and actions and changing our behavior and the environment when possible. This is the essence of my entire premise in life. Creative imagery or visualization can be a key to unlocking your inner majesty. So visualize your ideal self and become that person. As I mentioned before, symbols are the language of the subconscious mind, and if carefully implemented, can be very helpful in overcoming your weaknesses. It's important to pick the right symbol, though. I wear a ring that's an alexandrite stone, and my last name is Alexander. It changes color in different light settings, from pinkish purple to bluish purple, and sometimes even looks teal. I consider it quite beautiful. It reminds me of myself because I'm highly adaptable, ever-changing, and radiate beauty from within. It's one of the rarest gemstones, and so am I. So these are just a few of the ways to increase your self-regard and self-esteem and how you see and feel about yourself. And you'll find many more in my book, Turning Trials into Triumphs, The Way of the Phoenix. And we've covered how nearly everyone has hang-ups about themselves in many areas. We explored how our thoughts about ourselves are projected very clearly to people around us. Fear is even projected to animals, and they probably smell it. We discussed some exercises you can do in your transformation journal to get a clear picture of your strong points and to get a picture of where you're going. We talked about making sure we assess whether criticism is even valid about ourselves and how to make changes if needed. We talked about how our body sends messages of needed change in the form of symptoms. And we explored how symbolism can help us remember our worth. What's your symbol? Tell me in the comments. I would love to know. I'm Phoenix Alexander, and I'm honored to be your personal empowerment guide on your very own action-adventure production, your life. I trust that if you actually apply the principles you've learned today, your life will be more manageable and fun. Because if it isn't fun, find another way to do it. If you find value and benefit from the information and stories I share, tell your friends. And be sure to like and subscribe so more people can find my content and make their lives better. You can also follow me in social media found on the podcast notes. And by the way, both of my books are available on Amazon. You'll find the links again in the podcast notes. And the names of my books are Turning Trials into Triumphs, The Way of the Phoenix, and From Victim into Victor, The Ultimate Guide to Overcoming Trauma, Abuse, and PTSD. Get ready for the next episode, and remember, it's your life. Live it, love it.